girl suddenly comes back to life and knows things that she shouldn't. After falling down the stairs, everyone thought her life was over. But she suddenly woke up and was said to be perfectly healthy. The only difference was she seemed to know a lot of things she wasn't supposed to. Born in London back in 1904, Dorothy's remarkable story began at age 3. That was when she suddenly fell headlong down a flight of stairs in her home and was immediately knocked unconscious. Some say she was pronounced deceased right before suddenly reviving. The fall had altered her forever. She soon started speaking English with a foreign accent and would sit beneath the kitchen table, just crying and asking her parents to take her home. Dorothy would have vivid dreams of the vast building with huge columns and beautiful gardens. When she was 4, her parents even took her to the British Museum in London. Initially, Dorothy felt bored, but the moment she saw the Egyptian sculptures, something changed. She ran and began hugging them and didn't even want to leave the museum. Dorothy told her parents that these were her people. At the age of 7, Dorothy had discovered a picture of the infamous Temple of Seti I from Egypt. She quickly ran to her parents and told them that she had found her home. She fervently insisted that she did live in this building once upon a time. Young Dorothy even explained that there used to be many more trees along with a beautiful garden next to the temple. Dorothy's parents understandably discouraged this talk. But as she grew older, the girl instantly took to visiting the exhibits as often as she could. At some point, Dorothy even caught the attention of the prominent Egyptologist E. A. Wallace Budge, who had encouraged her to learn hieroglyphics. However, her teenage years were troubled. For instance, one Sunday school teacher asked that Dorothy's parents keep her at home due to her tendency to compare Christianity with Egyptian paganism. The girls' school that she attended also expelled her after she stubbornly refused to sing a hymn that encourages God to just curse the sword Egyptians. It is even said Dorothy hurled the hymnal at her teacher right before storming out of class. She also had to drop Catholic Mass, which by all accounts, she absolutely enjoyed. When Dorothy said that the Mass reminded her of the old religion of the pharaohs, it brought an angry priest to her house. He immediately told her she was no longer welcome in his congregation. Her unbelievable obsession with ancient Egypt only continued to deepen as she matured. At 14, Dorothy began to describe her sensual relationship with Seti I. Claiming to have actually been his lover in her previous life, Dorothy even described detailed visions of nighttime visitations in which Seti's mummy came to her bedside and undressed her. However, instead of being terrified by these nocturnal hallucinations, the girl was incredibly obsessed with them. At their wits' end, Dorothy's parents committed her to one sanatorium after another, but nothing seemed to work. Dorothy simply refused to let go of any of her beliefs, and at 16, she ultimately dropped out of school for good. She then took up part-time studies at an art school in Plymouth, where her father had been operating an early movie theater. It was here that Dorothy had the opportunity to play a role for which she felt a keen affinity. Claiming to be the reincarnation of a young girl, Dorothy described being abandoned at age 3 and then being raised in the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, which was the same building that she had pointed out as a 4-year-old. She had recounted meeting the pharaoh in the temple gardens while she was serving as a priestess. However, for a priestess to lose her purity was a capital offense. After becoming pregnant with Seti's child, the girl was ordered to stand trial. Instead, she chose to take her life by her own hand. The next pivotal phase came at 27 when Dorothy began writing for an Egyptian magazine in London. This was where she met Abraham, whom she eventually married. Taking up residence in Cairo, Dorothy soon bore her husband a son. Naming him Seti after her long-lost pharaoh lover, Dorothy herself assumed the alias Seti, which is Arabic for Mother of Seti. But, things were hardly any easier for Dorothy in Cairo. She had married into a rather upwardly mobile family who took some exception with her descriptions of pharaonic apparitions and out-of-body experiences. Ultimately this marriage failed, lasting just about 2 years before Abraham left her and moved to Iraq. In any event, Dorothy seemed to love Egypt much more than she did him. So she happily stayed behind in Cairo, raising her son while working as a draftswoman in the National Department of Antiquities. During her tenure there, Dorothy published several books and articles that are still widely admired. But a lot of people were also frightened by her, especially the locals. In her 50s, Dorothy was suddenly given the opportunity to work with excavators in Abydos, and naturally, she sprang at this offer. Abydos was the site where Seti I and the priestess had become lovers, and it was the very place that Dorothy had pointed out as a girl in the British Museum. In Abydos, Dorothy proved to be of invaluable aid to researchers. Among other accomplishments, she had helped them locate the ruins of the huge gardens she had so long ago described. Her contributions to Egyptology were completely undeniable. She seemed to have a preternatural understanding of hieroglyphics and was extremely knowledgeable about the local ruins. In 1981, the year Dorothy passed, the story about her entire life was also featured in a National Geographic documentary for someone claiming reincarnation.